Beckham Jr. has had a list of finalists, and as of right now, it is basically two. It's his old team, the New York Giants, which would be an incredible, unlikely reunion. My understanding is he has a visit planned. My sense is there's a little more momentum toward the Cowboys than the Giants.
Based upon what I am seeing from social media, from player interaction with one another, and just from the performances we saw from this past weekend, in my head, I believe Odell Beckham Jr. has already made his decision. It doesn't really take a genius to figure out what the decision is either. So we have so much to break down for you guys in today's video, including me holding myself accountable for a take that just aged horrifically last week. So before we get to the content, make sure you drop like, subscribe, and turn on our notifications to help the channel grow. If you want to go the extra mile to support this channel, check out our channel memberships program or our Patreon. Now that we get all of that out of the way, break! Guys, the economy is in flux, gas prices are really freaking high, and we need to do whatever we can do to save as much as we possibly can. Which is why I partnered with Upside, which is a fantastic way to get cash back on gas, groceries, restaurants, and more. It's really easy, man. All you have to do is download the Upside app, use my promo code Mikerophone to get $5 or more cash back on your first purchase of $10 or more, and say next time you're out and about and you happen to run out of gas, just pull up the Upside app, see the closest gas stations in your proximity or the gas station that's offering the best deal, tap on the gas station, claim the offer. I was able to save 35 cents per gallon by claiming this offer. And honestly, in this economic climate, I'll take anything that I can get. So honestly, guys, download the Upside app. You have absolutely nothing to lose, and use my promo code Mikerophone to get $5 or more cash back on your first purchase of $10 or more. And thank you, Upside, for the sponsor. Mic check 1 2 1 2. What's going on, everybody? I got to address the elephant in the room. Last week I made a video where I said the Dallas Cowboys are officially screwed. And don't get me wrong, I do present myself as an unbiased Dallas Cowboy fan, but I would be lying if I didn't say I was a little bit in my feelings in that one. I mean, after we lost to the Green Bay Packers, we have to face off against the 8-1 Minnesota Vikings, and then face off against the second best team in our division very shortly after facing off against the second best team record-wise in the NFL. And I said in that video, there's a pretty good chance that we drop both of those games. The Cowboys might stare down the barrel of a losing streak, a 3-game losing streak, if they don't get it together against the Minnesota Vikings, and especially if they can't beat the New York Giants a few days later, which, respectfully, if their matchup against the Minnesota Vikings is as intense as I think it's going to be, I don't necessarily know how I feel about their chances against the Giants. Yes, I was incredibly pessimistic. I was very happy to see that I was wrong. We didn't drop both of those games. As a matter of fact, we decimated the Minnesota Vikings so much so that CBS literally told their viewers that, hey, we're going to change the game that we're presenting to you because this is getting a little boring and a little crazy. The Cowboys ended up pummeling the Minnesota Vikings 40-3. The defense hit a brand new tier of greatness. But that's not the only thing that was achieved on Sunday, because in addition to the Dallas Cowboys destroying the Minnesota Vikings 40-3 and defeating Kirk Cousins in the afternoon window, on top of that, the New York Giants ended up dropping a game to the lowly Detroit Lions. Now, my perception of the Detroit Lions isn't that they're lowly, it's just their record just says they're not performing so well. They won their last 3 games, they're trending upward, and I'm very happy because I really like Dan Campbell, and I can't wait to see what they do once Jameson Williams returns or starts his NFL career. But you might be wondering, Mike, what's the parallel between the New York Giants and the Dallas Cowboys, apart from them being in the NFC East and apart from them both trying to vie for a wild card position? Well, if you remember, a couple of weeks ago, I came onto this channel in a video titled "The Dallas Cowboys Are About to Break the NFL" and stated there are 2 teams that I believe the OBJ race is between. One being the Dallas Cowboys, one being joining the New York Giants. If he wants a long-term contract and stability, he would go to the New York Giants. If he wants the opportunity to potentially compete for a Super Bowl, which feels very weird to say about my favorite team, because you have to understand my history with the Cowboys is I believe they're going to it up somehow. They usually do, but it's looking pretty good so far with the defense we have. The only holes that I really see is we could use a player like OBJ to fill in the void that Amari Cooper left behind. I'm not sure how much the Cowboys could offer OBJ, but we do know for sure that Odell Beckham Jr. wants a long-term contract and wants stability. He doesn't want a contract that is similar to the one that he received from the LA Rams. It makes a lot of sense. He's 30 years old at this point, and he's already won a Super Bowl. So if he's looking for a bag and if he wants financial security, something else to take into account is the lack of state income tax in Dallas, which would make a huge difference to OBJ's bottom line. At the end of the day, it really depends on what Odell Beckham Jr. wants, but I said it's between those two teams. And my eyes lit up as I absolutely nailed that prediction 2 weeks ago, because on Saturday night, we got a huge bombshell of a report from none other than Ian Rappaport. Free agent wide receiver Odell Beckham Jr. is narrowing his list and taking visits. After Thanksgiving, he plans visits to the Cowboys and the Giants. Cowboys and the Giants are both in a phenomenal situation. It really just depends on what situation OBJ prefers. Does he want to go back home to the team that initially drafted him? Or does he want to change teams and join the Dallas Cowboys? The Cowboys haven't necessarily kept their pursuit of Odell Beckham Jr. as a secret. I mean, more recently, you had Jerry Jones saying this about OBJ.
Okay.
Well, we're planning to get together.
What do you need to see from him, the medical?
Again, I'm just, we're, certainly it's time for us to sit down and visit.
Now, Jerry Jones wasn't the only one to comment on Odell Beckham Jr. Mike McCarthy reacted to a potential move for Odell Beckham Jr. The Cowboys checked in on his health a couple of weeks ago. Mikerophone stated back then that the Dallas Cowboys were interested in bringing in Odell Beckham Jr. And if the Micah Parsons from beforehand didn't spark your interest, how about the exchange that he had with OBJ on Sunday? Odell Beckham Jr. tweeted out that they went crazy today, which prompted Micah Parsons to quote Odell Beckham Jr.'s tweet with a bunch of these eye emojis. Now, at the same time, you have to understand that OBJ is also enjoying his ability to stir the pot, because in response to this, CJ Deuce replied saying, "So you celebrating on the star?" Then OBJ sent back 4 more emojis and said, "I miss Saquon Barkley." So you can see that he's just enjoying the fact that he has the ability to stir the pot at this point. I think the one thing that the Cowboys do have that the New York Giants don't is momentum. When the New York Giants lose to a bottom team in the NFL, which don't get me wrong, I think the Detroit Lions are on the way to becoming a really good football team, but their record indicates that they're one of the lower tier teams in the NFL. And then you have the Dallas Cowboys, who beat one of the top teams in the NFL, although with the worst point differential for an 8-2 team in NFL history. Clearly, the Cowboys are going to have significantly more momentum. If you're OBJ and you're watching the Cowboys pummel another top NFC team, and you're watching their defense destroy the top NFC team, although I understand that Christian Darrisaw also was out after a portion of the game due to injury, you're looking at this team and thinking that there's a significantly higher chance that this team contends for a Super Bowl than the New York Giants. Now, at the same time, you have to bear in mind that in the past 2 Super Bowl runs that the Giants made, they kind of came out of nowhere. So I'm not ruling the New York Giants as a potential threat to take home the Lombardi, because at the end of the day, my general belief is if you make it into the wild card, I think you have a chance. There's a degree of randomness that typically goes on in the NFL playoffs, and it's honestly what makes it so magical. Now, if I was initially on the fence about OBJ coming to the Cowboys, what kind of tipped me over to the edge was what Ian Rappaport said on the Pat McAfee show.
I've been trying to figure out where he's going. My sense is there's a little more momentum toward the Cowboys than the Giants. Very publicly flirted with them. They have leaned in so hard. Our guy Jerry Jones can't say the words Odell Beckham enough. How's Zeke's knee? He'll be like, let's talk about Odell. When he visits the Cowboys after Thanksgiving, and it sounds like he's got to visit with the Giants too, there is a chance that he just visits and stays.
I think the ultimate decision maker is going to be how the Cowboys perform against the Giants this week. There's a 4-day turnaround. If the Cowboys are able to beat the Minnesota Vikings and then beat beat the New York Giants so they could be second place in the NFC East, I think it greatly increases their chances of signing OBJ, especially if the Dallas Cowboys could do some salary cap gymnastics in order to sign OBJ to a longer term contract. I genuinely believe that Odell Beckham Jr. is the missing piece for the Cowboys. I think offensively, they're fantastic. Aside from having a dependable wide receiver one, which nothing against CeeDee Lamb, I love what he brings, but he thrived as a wide receiver too, and maybe he just needs some more time to really develop into that wide receiver one caliber player. Having a role model like OBJ on the team should do wonders for his development. Michael Gallup hasn't necessarily been what we were hoping he could be with the contract that he signed, which ironically is the type of contract that Odell Beckham Jr. would want in order to sign with any team. At least that's what he stated a couple months ago. He wants a Michael Gallup-like contract. So I see this as a home run because both of these teams have similar things going for them. In both New York and Dallas, he will get a plethora of endorsement opportunities. In New York, I think he could get a bigger commitment, but I'm sure Dallas is capable of moving some money around in order to try to make a similar type of commitment. Knowing Jerry Jones, he loves these big splashes at wide receiver, so I would not be shocked if he sold out to try to get himself a player of OBJ's caliber. You just imagine how much the Cowboys would rake in jersey sales alone. So that's my take on the matter, and bear in mind, I could be wrong. I was wrong with OBJ going to the Kansas City Chiefs, and I was definitely deceived by that Travis Kelce, Jason Kelce podcast. I was wrong when I said the Cowboys are likely to drop 2 of their upcoming games after losing to the Green Bay Packers. I was right about OBJ choosing between the Giants and the Cowboys. So for all you know, I could be right about this, I could be wrong about this, but that's my rationale. Let me know in the comment section down below what you guys think about all this. Aside from that, I'm your boy Mike, and I'm dropping our mic until our next upload.